to everyone. I hope everyone is having a productive day. So I thought I would hop on here, not for very long. Kind of tired. And I have some other work I need to finish up. But I thought I would hop on here really quickly. I would have a really short conversation about positive visualization and reinforcement. Now, I know to some people it sounds like, some spiritual hooey thing, and it really isn't. It really isn't. I can give you the textbook definition of positive visualization and reinforcement. It says that positive visualization and reinforcement are powerful mental techniques that can help improve performance, build confidence, and achieve goals. So again, for those who've just joined, I'm talking about positive visualization and reinforcement. Because we know about negative reinforcement. We know that. I think a lot of us have experienced that. Because one of the things, again, that I continue to reiterate is it is simply not enough to teach the syllabus. I think that we have, as educators, we have particular responsibilities. Because again, and I know I keep saying it over and over again, but I want you all to get a sense of who we are in terms of how we view what we do, the services that we offer. Granted, this is a business, but at the same time, because of the nature of the service that we offer, I think that, it lends itself to be cautious, careful, thorough about how we deliver that service. I think that's very, very important. So we try to disseminate information that is beneficial to students, and to be quite frank, is also applicable to adults as well. So as I said, it's more than simply just teaching a syllabus. So as I said, we're talking about positive visualization and reinforcement. One of the things I think for us here at KHOZA'S SEA Academy is that, as I said, compared to other, because I've seen other tutors and persons do lives, and granted, and I'm not knocking it, I think it's a tremendous resource as well, that they actually teach topics during their lives. And as I said, that is a tremendous resource. I am not knocking it. I am really not in the business of, in order for us to look good, we have to knock other people. We're not in that business. And to be quite frank, fundamentally, especially as a man, that's simply not a masculine thing to do. So, what we do in terms of at least the syllabus and teaching different topics is that we do extended content or long format content on YouTube. That is available on our YouTube page. We do questions as well, SEA questions, as well on our YouTube page. And also, because I have to post some actually this week. And we also do like short form videos, very short videos, I think it's about around a minute and a half of teaching particular topics, particularly in math and also in language arts. And as I said, we also do as well, and you can look at our content on our page, we have what we call a literacy corner, because again, we think that I'm borrowing the words from a famous comedian, Eddie Griffin. He said, reading is fun to mental. She's breaking down that word, fundamental. He said, reading is fun to mental. And that is something that we borrow and that we take in terms of understanding that, reading for anyone is a superpower. And not just reading even for the sake of reading, but reading to increase one's vocabulary, one's understanding, one's experiences. Even as adults, we recognize that sometimes when we read something that we never read before, whether even fiction or non-fiction, it helps to evolve us. We start having thoughts that we didn't have before, or we start questioning certain things, or we start asking questions that we didn't ask before. And then in that process, we grew in understanding and application. Because again, it's important. I don't think it's reading for the sake of reading, to say, oh, I read that book, I read that book, I read this book, and so on. With our students, when they read nonfiction, fiction, it's about being able now to have a conversation about what they read, what they learned, and then also being able to apply the rhythm of storytelling or writing, narrative writing, that rhythm to their own writing. So everything is transferable. It's not, again, just doing something because to say, hey, I did that. What we try to do is to ensure the things that we are doing and the things that we encourage our student body to do, that they have practical significance, to be quite frank, for the exam and also in the future. Because we would want that we would be at least part of the catalyst that encourages children to read voraciously. Even, again, as they get older, teenage life, young adult life, just to read voraciously. Because, as I said, reading can literally change your life. It can change your mind. Because we do recognize, even as adults, the most powerful tool that we have is not even our external resources. It's our mind. And therefore, what we feed our mind determines now outcome. I could even wax biblical and say that that scripture that talks about from the Holy Book, which talks about, from the Bible, which talks about, as a man thinketh, so is he. And very much the way that we think is influenced by those things that we input into our senses and into our mind. So again, as I said, reading is very, very important, and there's a practical component, or there's a practical transference from reading now to being able to write better short stories, narrative writing, and so on. So again, we start to understand, so students start to understand now the rhythm of writing and how to write in a particular rhythm. Because if you can grip your examiner, I mean, obviously all the other things would be there in terms of your grammar and punctuation and so on. But I'm talking about the general storyline. If you can actually grip your examiner, and use keywords, and then create a mood in terms of what you are talking about. I'm talking about narrative writing, right? Not talking about report writing. Then it can significantly influence how well you do. So everything that we do is, again, geared to ensuring that students do well in the SEA examination, but also we want to ensure that we are equipping students with tools that they can even carry past SEA and even into adulthood. Because again, here we believe that's part of our responsibility to impact positively the lives of young people. So again, outside of teaching the syllabus, I know we talked about mental toughness and resilience. I think that's so very important. It's so very important. But I want to talk today a bit about positive visualization and reinforcement. So positive visualization and reinforcement are powerful mental techniques that can help improve performance, build confidence, and achieve goals. So, what is positive visualization? So this involves vividly imagining yourself succeeding in a particular task or achieving a goal. By mentally rehearsing success, you create a clear image of what you want, making it feel more achievable. And some words even in that description really stand out in terms of this whole idea of vividly imagining and the specificity of having a clear image of what that goal is or what you want. So again, it's very important to have a clear image, idea of what that goal is. Obviously, for our students, I would say, passing for their first choice, and by extension, hitting particular marks in the mathematics, the language arts, and the creative writing. So those marks would look something like above 90% in mathematics. It looks something above around 85% in language arts, and somewhere around 80 to 85% in creative writing. So that's like 16 out of 20 to 17 out of 20. I would honestly say 17 out of 20 is the better bet. Yeah, so that is what we that in terms of positive visualization, that is what we want, and we speak to our student body about in terms of what they need to be looking at and focusing on in terms of what that goal is and what those goals are and how specific those goals need to be. Because one of the things about specificity or having specific goals is then it allows you to go back to the drawing board. So you have actually a standard and you say, okay, all right, well, I did this exam, I did this, I didn't understand that, and my mark looks like that. So that, in other words, you can go back to the drawing board and then determine, okay, I need to work harder here, and then see what the result is. Compare it to what the standard is, and again, if you've closed the gap, you say to yourself, okay, well, you know what? I need to do more work. And that repetitive process until you achieve the thing that you visualize. Yes? So, there's an example here, I guess, that I just spoke about really. A student might visualize themselves acing an exam. An athlete may imagine crossing the finish line in first place, or someone can envision themselves confidently handling a job interview. Now, sorry about that. So the part really that makes this sort of like unrealistic is a clear vision of yourself and where you want to go without the work. That's what makes it fable and fantasy. And we are not in the business of selling fable and fantasy. Nor should children be encouraged to believe that if they just visualize something, it will happen. We recognize that the visualization, or what children see in their head, must correlate with the work, effort, diligence. It must correlate. And then, as I said, you constantly need to be reviewing that, a self-review, to say, oh my gosh, I didn't get the mark that I wanted to get, so I need to work harder. I need to do more. I need to ask more questions. I don't understand this topic. I need to ask more questions. And one of the things that even we tell our students, because I know some of them may have these issues sometimes when they actually go to school. Again, I'm not casting aspersions on any teacher, but students have told me this, parents have told me this, that sometimes when they ask questions in school, one, children laugh, and two, sometimes the response sometimes they get from their teacher is not necessarily a favorable response. So what we try to do, and what we tell our students, is that no question is a dumb question. No question is a dumb question. You don't understand something, then you need to say, and it will be explained to you. No question is a dumb question. Because we also recognize that children, when they come into a classroom setting, everybody performs at a different level. But the goal is to get everyone performing at similar levels, so that what they visualize for themselves, they actually do. For some it will be more challenging, for some it may be easier. But again, that is our goal, to get every child to that position where they are visualizing what the goal is, and they are aware of what the work is, and they are aware of where the shortfalls are. And obviously we make ourselves available as educators to close that gap. So positive visualization helps to build confidence. So visualizing success strengthens your belief that you can achieve your goal. It also helps to reduce anxiety. Practicing situations in your mind makes the real experience feel more familiar and less intimidating. One of the things I've always told my students is that day when you do that exam must be like any other day. Now, of course, if any other day is you being nervous, you doing badly, you doing poorly, not understanding half the work, well, that's a horse of a different color. So what we try to do is get students to the position where they are again performing at a particular level. All right, and again we are very clear about that. All right, and even for the purposes of positive visualization, we are very, very clear in terms of what that looks like and what those marks look like. So when students now are repeating those marks, 90 something in math, 85%, 86%, 87% in language arts, 90% in language arts, and then they're getting 17 out of 20 and 18 out of 20 and 16 out of 20, and they're repeating that continuously, and they're getting into a rhythm. So now there is now that gap has significantly closed. So the work now is bearing fruit. It's creating the result. It's creating the result that they visualize. Then it means that on the day when they do the exam, it is simply just another exam, and it's just another day. But the process to get there is a challenging one. Even for the students, to be quite frank, who are, to be honest, maybe more gifted, it still is a challenge. Because it's sitting down and doing an exam that's over 3 hours. Doing a very long exam. And staying focused during that time to do well. So, as I've said, positive visualization builds confidence, reduces anxiety, and there we go, improves focus. It helps keep your mind centered on positive outcomes rather than distractions or fears. And then the concept of positive reinforcement. So this involves rewarding yourself when you achieve something or exhibit a desired behavior. It strengthens that behavior and encourages it to be repeated. So like celebrating small wins. So an improvement in a mark. You understanding something for the first time and then being given an assignment and then doing well in the assignment. So celebrating those small wins. It also encourages consistency, that is positive reinforcement. Motivates you to keep striving toward your goals by associating progress with rewards. Now, in the explanation of positive visualization and reinforcement, it sounds very complicated. Even the word, long word. And obviously, when you're applying this to children, I mean, you have to be smart about how you're going to apply it. Now, obviously, I'm not going to sit down here, or we're not going to sit down here and give out our secrets. But understand that, rest assured, that we do take this very seriously, just as we take mental toughness and resilience very seriously. Very, very seriously. And we are very proactive about the application of it. And understand that our student population is of a particular age, and therefore it needs to be fed to them in a way that they can digest. Because they're not adults, clearly, right? So, obviously, it's important to tailor it for our population, our student population. Now, what is interesting is that, which is again is something that we've done, is that one of the tools that we use, again without going into great detail, is for positive, for actually one of the tools that we use for positive visualization is music. Because music has this ability to set mood, create ritual, to also as well, I won't say manage emotions, but create certain emotions and deep emotions. So we use particular things to, again, we use music at some level to help with that, to almost reinforce that concept. It is so interesting that, because obviously when I was a child, quite some time ago, because I'm 51 now, so that's a long time ago, 40 years ago probably. And is he talking about I was going to say common entrance age, but SEA age, just like 40 years ago. Things were extremely different. And Your parents didn't really have to speak to you about mental toughness, and the what's interesting is that the environments that we were in, school and all that, that kind of dealt with that. It was almost like a survival of the fittest kind of thing, and you either, you know, swim or drown. And there wasn't anyone really talking to you really about these kinds of concepts. The problem now is that, again, we live in a different space, and therefore these conversations are absolutely necessary. They are absolutely necessary, because children in 2024 are very different from children in the 1980s. I mean, that is when I was their age, right? Or the age of these kids, 1985, 86 kind of thing. Well, actually, no, before that. So it's significantly different. And therefore, some things are applicable across generations. Some things are not. And the key to being effective is figuring out, especially in that context, it's figuring out what is applicable across generations and what is not applicable across generations. So lessons in morality and ethics, applicable across generations, and spirituality and faith and all that. Those kinds of lessons are applicable across generations. Some things are not. Other things are not. And then sometimes we have to seek a different approach because, again, it's a different time. But what is most important is to be effective. Now, that is the most important thing. And therefore, for us at KHOZA'S SCA Academy, it means then always evolving, always learning, always growing. You see, and again, I come back to that whole concept in my head about reading being a superpower, just being open, learning constantly, so that you become effective even as time changes, even as people change and customs change, that you are still effective, that you are not applying old thinking to a new space. I think that's very, very important. I think that's very, very important. This is why we honestly, we really love the Zoom technology. It's a very effective way to teach. It's so interesting that, even before COVID, Zoom was just a thing that people used really in business settings. And then obviously, COVID hit, and then everybody was using it for, teachers started using it to teach and so on. So what we try to do, again, because life is ever evolving and technology is always changing and advancing, we try to use that technology to deliver the best product. And that is honestly one of the reasons, and one of the many reasons, that we actually only do the online class setting. It's interesting, the other day I remember driving past a particular educational institute that used to be popular in the 90s. And it looked like, it looked like a cemetery, to be quite frank, because nobody there, classrooms closed and so on, because now all of those qualifications and degrees and all that this particular institution offered, they now are doing all of that stuff now online. All of it. So as I said, it's a different world that we live in, and we want to be able to progress with certain things. I mean, there are certain things I think that you should always keep, and in some contexts are absolute. But there are other things that you need to evolve with. I think you must have a foundation that is absolute, but then what you build on it can change based on technologies available, and also based on how the population or the people that you are serving, how they evolve and how they respond. I think, to be quite frank, that this generation of children, I think they would respond very well to Zoom if it was, again, done properly or differently. Because, again, we had this conversation yesterday. You cannot apply the same parameters of in-person teaching to Zoom. It's not going to work. It's a totally different space, totally different technology that you're using. Totally different. It's like chalk and cheese. You can't apply the same thing. Can't apply the same method. You can't apply the same controls. You'll be teaching the same things, but even the delivery needs to evolve and change. And what is, as I said, interesting is that generation of children, or this generation of children, again, if it's done properly, they will get it. They will get it. Because, again, they are of the age where they're almost growing at the same rate that technology is growing. So they will get it. I remember I gave the example yesterday of my son when he had PS3, and it was just, it was automatic. Even children, how they handle their phones, they're just, because they are part of that generation. That technology evolved as they evolved. Because I know some persons who are, again, older than me, who, they hate using smartphones, they hate using a laptop, they hate using, certain things they don't like to use. But again, younger people, at least the kids from standard 3 to standard 5, as I said, as the technology evolved, they also grew into it, so to speak. So I veered off there a bit. I said I was going to be short, actually. Sometimes I do tend to ramble. Sometimes. So, as I said, what we try to do is that we would use music to help with the visualization. Obviously, I'm not going to give everyone our secrets. I'll give you all small hints, but I'm not going to give everyone our secrets. But understand also that we are constantly learning and constantly trying to deliver a better product, a better service to our clients, to your children, and also to parents, so parents understand they are getting value for money, and that they are getting our undivided attention as it regards ensuring that children do extremely well, and that children have the tools available, all the tools available to them to do that. So I guess I'm saying this all to say, or rather, this is about giving you all a sense of who we are. Again, I can't speak for anyone else, any other person that is doing this or something similar to this. Some of them who are doing this are doing it very well. And as I said, I am not in the business of saying either slanderous or, suggestive things about what other people are doing. Fundamentally speaking, I just don't think that's a masculine thing to do, and I count myself personally as a masculine man, and there are just certain things I do not do because I don't think certain things are masculine. So you would never find me or find even us here at KHOZA'S SEA Academy saying particular things. We try to focus on what we're doing, or rather not we focus on what we're doing. All right, we focus on what we're doing. We like to almost take that very stoic approach to life. This understanding that, okay, what are the things that we're in control of? Good, let's focus on that. Let's perfect those things. Let's make decisions regarding those things. All the other things, what people do and other people do, that has nothing to do with us. We understand the space that we're in, and we're trying to perfect that space. And we are trying to, with every passing day, create a better and better system. Because one of the things, interestingly enough, even in any kind of business, it doesn't matter what kind of business you do, if you don't evolve, you die. And especially in today's marketplace, if you don't evolve, you die. I sat down the other day, and because I like to listen to this guy quite a bit. His name is Jensen Huang. He is the CEO of NVIDIA, and he is basically at the center of all things AI. I mean, in partnership with other companies and so on, but he's literally at the center. Him and his company are at the center of everything connected to AI. And when you listen to him speak, you realize that that concept of evolution, constant evolution, constant searching, constantly asking questions, constantly evolving, constantly, never remaining stagnant. And that is our approach here as it regards how we teach, what we teach, how we deliver our service to students, how we create value for parents, because parents are the ones who are paying for this. Because one of the things that we do not want to do is we are not in the business of giving people a 6 for a 9. We're not going to be doing that. So parents will be getting extreme value for money. Extreme value for what they spend. And just to be clear, because it's on our page as well, Standard 3s have classes from Monday to Friday. So every day. Standard 4s, every day as well. Monday to Friday. And for Standard 3s and Standard 4s, that includes mathematics, language arts, creative writing, the same things that we've spoken about, the applications of positive visualization, mental toughness, resilience. Also includes as well Literacy Corner, which is reading. We have a list of books, or rather, we give our students a list of books that they read over time. We discuss them. They write summaries on them, at least in Standards 3 and 4. In Standard 5, again, we try to become now even more focused on the actual exam, on accuracy and efficiency, so that we get our students exam ready and have them in a position where they have done a significant amount of exams in 6 months. Because remember, that period is about 6 months. So 7 months, sorry. September, October, November, December, January, February, March, 7 months. And the truth is, we want, or rather our goal is to have our students peaking 2 weeks before the exam, 2 to 3 weeks before the exam, they're peaking. They're hitting certain marks, 93, 94, 95, 92, 93, that kind of thing. It's always within like a 2 to 3 mark range, but high. So even in the language arts, they're hitting somewhere around, because that is out of 75, I believe. No, that's out of 64. I'm sorry. That's out of 64. So we would want our students hitting somewhere around 55 out of 64. Somewhere in that vein, 54, 55, 56, and up. So somewhere again inside of that, that sweet spot. And for creative writing, again, 17 to 19. So 17, sometimes 18, 19, 18, 17. Again, so we get them in a very, very sweet spot. One of the interesting things is that many years ago, when I was learning to sing, my vocal coach, really good guy, his name is Sterling Gittins. He has sons now who are phenomenal musicians and artists and producers and that kind of stuff. He used to say to me that the work never denies itself. So that even if you go on a stage and you sing, if you've done enough work, learned enough songs, learned enough riffs, done enough work, you did all what we used to call bussing. You sing flat, you sing sharp, you've done all those things, you've passed through all of that to the position now where you have to actually now mentally focus to hit a flat note. When you go out there and sing, even if you're nervous, the work does not deny itself. And that is the position that we want to put our students in. The work not denying itself. However, we go the extra mile and say, you know what? Not only must the work not deny itself, but it must be like any other day. And that must be deliberate. So again, we are very, very deliberate about the things that we do. So even after this conversation, if you want more information, if you want to engage in a conversation, even if you want to do it via WhatsApp, because you wouldn't want to particularly call or whatever, that's fine. 469-5929. Let's talk. Let's conversate. Let's get your children enrolled. If you got a child in standard 3, please sign them up. Sign them up. The earlier the child signs up, the better position they will be in. The earlier they sign up, the better position they will be in. They have enough time to make enough mistakes, to learn, to go back, learn, go again, and repeat that cycle until they get a position where everything is firing like that. But that doesn't happen overnight. It just does not. Please don't wait until 2 weeks before the exam to call me. Please don't do that. Don't do yourself and your children that disservice, please. And I'm saying that based on experience. Right? I'm saying it based on experience. Take a realistic assessment of where your children are and get them the help that is needed. Truth is, even if you want to go with someone else, that's fine. No love lost. But get them the help that they need. I mean, I'll always be a champion for our business, but get them the help that they need. See what I did there? I went into my James Earl voice. Oh my God. Yeah, so it's important. It's important. This transitional exam is very, very important. Okay, so again, give us a call. Send us a WhatsApp. Our fees, rates, times, all of that on our page. I think it's one of the posts that's pinned to the top. So you can't miss it. You can't miss it. And when you see the price, don't think, oh my gosh. You have to think of, what will it cost me if I don't get my child, my son, my daughter, the help that they need? Even after hearing this gentleman talk, I'm recognizing that this gentleman really knows what he's talking about. And I'm not being arrogant, I'm just being honest. And I've been doing this a while. And I even as well, because if I'm being honest with you all, this whole journey, even for myself and for KHOZA'S SEA Academy, started with my own children and actually helping them to prepare for the SEA examination at the time. Now my children are in their 20s now. One is 25, the other one is 22, and I have an 18-year-old daughter. So, and then also even recently, a year ago, she's 12 now. I even helped her as well to for SE examinations. And guess what school she passed for? Her first choice. And guess what her marks look like? Her marks look like the same marks 2 weeks before the exam. 90s in maths, high 50s in language arts, and 16 to 18 in creative writing. We are very deliberate about the things that we do. We are very, very deliberate about the things that we do. So, again, as I said, give us a call. Send us a WhatsApp, 469-5929. 469-5929. And let's get a conversation started. And let's get your children enrolled. And let's win together. Let's win together. You and I, parents, let's partner together and let's win together for the sake of your children. Let your children win as well. Sounds like a plan? Okay. I hope everyone has a good day. All right? Goodbye.